poked away, picked up by Andre from
three-quarters, and he hit it! He had his eyes on the prize and let it fly!
What's going on, all you Tandemals out there? It is another edition of the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live exclusively on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media, proud member of the Vendetta Sports Media Podcasting Network. With me, as always, the co-host of the Stars and Memphis Grizzlies superfan and soon-to-be viewer in person of the Senior Bowl, Jefferson Legal himself, Jackson Law. J. Law, how the hell are you?
I'm doing good, man. But before I can go to the Senior Bowl, I have to clear health and safety protocols. My wife has COVID, so yeah. But she's had it for 2 days. I felt fine. I'm fully vaxxed, got the boost, so odds are in my favor. So
may the odds be forever in your favor.
So I've got some tests, some home tests. So I'll take one before I even go down there, and then I have to show a negative one to get into the place, the arena where they're hosting the Senior Bowl at. So I'll take another one when I get down there, and then I'm confident.
All right, cool. And we're joined tonight. Surprise to me and a few of us here. We're joined by Jarrod Prosser here at did I say your last name right? Prosser.
Yes.
Prosser. Oh,
no, you gotta have that Aussie accent on that.
Prosser.
There you go.
That's not bad.
Thanks. I'm pretty good.
People can really butcher an Australian accent, but that's not a bad first attempt.
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at mimicking accents. I'm pretty good at that.
I'll have to teach you a derivative of Australian called ochre, which is like that really. Think of that Jarl, that deep South American. The Australian version of that. So instead of speaking like this, you'd start speaking like this. So Bryan and Jackson Law. Yeah, that's where the
Australian
Aussie, oi, and all that bullshit comes in.
Gotcha. So
it is just like the South.
It really that's hilarious. You know what's funny is that there's a South in every country in the world.
Ours is the North, though. Ours is the North.
Oh,
the theory is that the closer you get to the equator, that's all I'll say.
That's where the crazies are. Gotcha. Yeah. So of course now Jarrod is our he writes NBA stuff. We're gonna be talking NBA tonight, but we definitely got to lead off with some NFL talk. Because, guys, it's being said that this last weekend of NFL playoff football was the best of all time. We got a little bit of everything with every game.
It was beautiful.
And
absolutely beautiful.
I mean, we got some defensive struggles. We got high scoring insanity. We got upsets. I mean, we got some really good stuff this past weekend.
It was, it's one of those things where we did get a little bit of everything, but it always seemed to come back to the kicker.
Yeah, right.
So the question is, can it be the greatest playoff round of all time if the clutch plays are always, your place kicker?
I mean, it's all about getting into position, though. Which kudos to the kickers. Kudos to the kickers.
Ripping plays to get downfield quickly.
Oh, there's a video. So the Cincinnati Bengals kicker, his name is McPherson. He's a rookie out of Florida. There is a video of him that was posted last year where I want to say he was maybe 30, 35 yards out, down on the field, and there's an elevated like walkway in the Florida practice facility, and he kicks the football, and just the English on it is insane. And he nicks the side of a Gatorade bottle that's taped down and unscrews the cap with the football.
Wow.
That sounds like something from Mythbusters.
It is incredible. And it was making the rounds on the internet like a year or so ago, and it was making rounds again because he hits the game winner to send Cincinnati to the AFC Championship game.
Now, what's crazy to me is that he also looked at Joe Burrow and goes, looks like we're going to the championship. Yeah. I'm like, yo, that is some swagger, right? You know what?
Yeah, that was cold.
Even being from Pittsburgh, I don't dislike these Cincinnati Bengals. I really don't. I really don't. So you know what? Let's start with this game here, because this was, the first Saturday game, and it was the number 1 seed versus the number 4 seed. Now, the Titans, though, I have not seen them or thought of them as a number 1 seed. I mean, the only reason why they're the number 1 seed is because Kansas City had a really rough start to the season, and they just happened to pull it together, and the Titans were just able to limp and make it work.
Yeah, well, they play in a bad division.
A horrible division.
You have the Jaguars and the Texans. I thought the Colts would be more competitive than what they were this year, but they kind of shat the bed at the start and the end of the season. And I mean, Mike Vrabel's a great coach, and they have a pretty solid defense. They have an amazing offensive line. They have a 2,000-yard rusher in Derrick Henry. So they've got good players. It's just the problem is Ryan Tannehill. That was shown this past week, that Ryan Tannehill is the liability out there. Normally, if your defense is able to hold a team to 19 points, a playoff team to 19 points, that is solid.
Got a good quarterback.
That's solid.
Yeah, if you've got a good quarterback, then you should be able to put 20 points on the board
at minimum.
At minimum. I don't know. Jarrod, what do you think? I mean, I know American football isn't your cup of tea, but if the kicker, the guy who uses his foot to score, is involved, then you've got to have an opinion.
Well, look, my big takeaway from that game was that Burrow's offensive line may as well have been made out of smoke for all the protection they gave him. Poor boy got hit every second down. Even if it wasn't, even if he wasn't getting hit, getting sacked, he was getting rushed. All of his throws were panicked, and good on him for keeping. How many years has he been in the NFL? This is what he's.
This is year 2.
This is his second year.
Yeah.
And he played like half a year last year because he was injured.
Yeah, so he's only been in the league a year and a half.
That kid's got some serious composure, seriously good decision making under that sort of pressure. I was massively impressed with him. And look, I'm a Niners fan. We'll get to them and their quarterback. But the Bengals is a great story. I mean, it's the last time they were this far into the playoffs, Jackson wasn't born.
No, he wasn't.
I was not.
Jackson was barely an itch. Meanwhile, I was watching that Bengals Super Bowl against the Niners, and I was rooting for the Niners because it was Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. So I mean, yeah, and I'll tell you the truth, and that's a great point by you, Jarrod, because good friend of mine, shout out to my good friend Bryan Gray, who lives there in Cincinnati, and he's on social media with the who day, we day, and I can't even be mad about it. I can't, because this is such a great story. You got Joe Burrow, his numbers were still amazing, except for that one pick. 28 of 37, 348 yards, with an offensive line that's just looking at Tennessee like, go ahead, hit him. We don't care, but he's getting the job done. And the composure is just unreal. In that game, don't let the 19-16 score fool you. That game wasn't all that close, really. I mean, there was at one point, Bengals were up 16-6. Tennessee just came back because there's only but so much a second-year quarterback's going to be able to do with an offensive line that ain't doing nothing. So, no, I mean, I honestly, do I see them getting past the mighty Chiefs? Absolutely not. Like, no, it's just not happening.
If it means anything, the Bengals did beat them a few weeks ago to clinch the AFC North.
Yeah, that was.
But I mean, you know, that
this is different.
I know it's different. I'm just.
But that does. I mean, there is. So you're saying there's a chance?
That's what I'm saying. And but it's gonna be in Arrowhead though. So that's
there's
not
just
gonna bode well for them.
Listen. These Bengals beat a Ryan Tannehill-led Titans team with a Derrick Henry who's coming off of a major injury. Now, they getting ready to go up against probably the greatest quarterback of his generation and the face of the league right now at the position of quarterback in Patrick Aloysius Mahomes.
They also come up against the team who has been there before.
Right. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And I think that you're absolutely right, Jackson. Ryan Tannehill, you look at his numbers, 15 to 24, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. 3 picks. That lets you know right now.
One of them happened the very first play of the game.
Right.
I didn't even know what happened. I'm like, oh, first play of the game. I would look up and it's just interception. What just happened? I wasn't expecting that.
And I'll tell you the truth, Jarrod, I really think when this Bengals team shores up that offensive line, they are going to be deadly. Like, we're going to be seeing this matchup for years to come if the Bengals shore up that offensive line. I'm talking about Bengals Chiefs in the playoffs.
Well, if we can, evoke the memory of the great John Madden, what did he always go on about as the base of your team? And it's your offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah.
If you don't win at the line of scrimmage, you don't win.
Exactly. So real quick, guys, let's get a quick prediction on this Sunday. Well, matter of fact, let's talk. We'll do the predictions of the championship round when we get toward the end of the segment. All right, because basically tonight's show is going to be 1/2 NFL, 1/2 NBA. So I'll be doing a lot of talking at point, and then I'm going to have not much to say. It's all good. All right,
like we discussed about earlier, we'll let you talk in if you want.
I appreciate that. The show only has my damn name on it, but I guess I'll be allowed to talk. All right, so our other Saturday afternoon game, another number one seed versus the number 6 seed, the San Francisco Gold Rushers, 49ers, taking on the Green Bay Packers. Now, on paper, the Packers should have just owned. This game should have been over after the first kickoff. It should have been like the Mets season.
Match ain't played on paper, baby.
That's right. That's right. And so let me ask you guys this. Is this more the Packers playing down to their opponent? Or was this 49ers team, did they just show up to play?
I think it's a little of both. The Packers definitely played down, but that was partly due to the Niners dragging them down. It's a game at Lambeau. It's snowing heavily. This was always a game that wasn't going to favor a freelance offense. This is a game that was going to be, a trench warfare for a way to over dramatize it. But San Francisco did a good job of playing the game on their terms.
Absolutely, they really did, and it was all defense, really. Literally, it was all defense
from both sides.
Yeah, San Francisco, they didn't even score. They didn't even score a touchdown.
No,
it was field goals and a safety. And
a return touchdown.
I'm sorry.
The
touchdown. I apologize.
The punt, the punt block from at the 3.
That's what it was. Yeah. Sorry. So that's insane. And But the thing is, I saw someone say, "Oh, this game was Jimmy Garoppolo making a statement on his haters." 11 of 19, 131 yards and an interception.
All right, so the comment just said the Packers had special teams problems all year. They had special teams problems heavily in this game, and if people were paying attention, they only had 10 men on the field for that game-winning field goal.
And that's even worse.
They didn't have enough players on the field.
That was
Scarlett, what's going on?
Like, how do you fuck that up?
Your season is on the line. You make this, you're done. And you don't have your full special teams unit out there.
Like, that just completely blew my mind. Like, in the moment, you're not watching that. You're watching the snap. You're watching the kick.
Right.
But when I saw that yesterday, I saw it on Twitter yesterday. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. How does that happen? Like that. Like whether it's head coach or special teams coordinator, whoever it is.
If that's the special teams coordinator, he needs. Yeah, if that's the special teams coordinator, he needs fired. He definitely needs fired.
I would hope Matt LaFleur is not that stupid of a coach. I don't think he is, but it sounds like it's not as tightly run of a ship in Green Bay as it could be.
Absolutely.
Jackson, you'd hope any coach at a professional level, as a minimum, knows how many people should be on the field at a particular time.
You would hope so.
But that would be the minimum. I've got coaches I mentor who coach 7-year-old basketballers, and they know that there should be 5 players on the court.
Wow. Crocky.
That seems the most basic thing.
Yeah, that's definitely a lack of coaching. And I'll tell you the truth. What's really crazy to me now is, at least, especially here in Pittsburgh, all the talk again for Aaron Rodgers, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna put out a very unpopular opinion. To hell with Aaron Rodgers. Seriously. You know what? This just continues to show me Aaron Rodgers doesn't get the job done when he needs to get it done. He's a great regular season quarterback. He doesn't get it done in the playoffs. And the one time he got it done in the playoffs was against the Steelers. And honestly, it was one of those plays where it's like, well, sometimes it doesn't work out your way. It wasn't I'm Aaron Rodgers and I beat people. It was damn it, we beat ourselves. So
how many Super Bowls have the Packers won with Rodgers? Is it just the one?
Just the one.
Like, if you're going into his career at the start, you probably would have taken overs on that, surely. Norman Dale, great call. Great call. Yeah.
Shout out to Joe Compton. Shout out to Joe Compton, man. He went, if you don't get it, you're too young. That's all I got to say. Jackson, you got it, didn't you?
I'm trying to think. I may be too young.
Well, in the movie, we'll give Jackson.
It's a movie. I'll give you that.
I know it's a movie.
I showed that movie to my kids. My kids are 13 and 10 and basketball nuts. And I thought, they'll love this film. I was probably about 12 or 13 when I first saw it. And they both just thought it was the most boring, ridiculous crap movie they'd ever seen. And I wanted to disown them.
Oh, man. Oh, we got some love for your Beatles poster in the background. So Scarlett starting trouble and giving some love to the Beatles. But no, I'll tell you the truth, though. But I'm getting back to Aaron Rodgers for a second. Number one, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I'm sticking strictly on the field play. I'm not talking about the lying about being vaccinated. But no, seriously though, how do you? All right, he just doesn't. He never gets it done in the playoffs ever. Like the only time that every single year, Green Bay goes to the playoffs and they come up short. And it's like, oh, another disappointing year for the Packers, for Packers fans. You should be used to this by now. It happens. It's like, and people have the nerve to be shocked. Aaron Rodgers can't lead the Packers to a Super Bowl. In other news, water wet. Because the last time he got them to a damn Super Bowl was over 10 years ago. But now everyone's like, oh, where's Aaron Rodgers going to end up next year? Who cares? Like, really, who cares? You know, when Tom Brady was 38 years old, you know what he was doing? Winning freaking Super Bowls, much to my chagrin. No, and I hate giving Brady any credit. I do. And I used to be a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. But the bottom line is, no, he is not. I swear to God, if I could veto it, if I could use the powers vested in me from this rinky-dink show, I would nix that idea. I will take a meeting with Mr. Rooney. So unfortunately, we're not going to talk about the fact that it's a late night meeting and I'm sneaking into his house after picking his lock. We're not going to go there. But I say, Mr. Rooney, do not sign that hack. No. I wouldn't go that far. Honestly, I'm going to say it right now. If the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers, I'm going all in as a Bengals fan. I will go all in as a Bengals fan, and I will root against the Steelers every single time. I have never rooted against
Courtney, clip this, please.
But I mean, this now, when we said that, you know, I think that you made a really, really great point, Jarrod, before we move on, is that the Niners made the Packers play down to them because the Niners controlled the game on the defensive side of the ball. And I mean, they got Nick Bosa back. Nick Bosa's game wasn't really that big of one, but he got the job done. I mean, 2 sacks. That is actually that's a pretty good game. That's a great game right there for a defensive lineman.
Go on. Sorry.
But I mean, the whole aspect of it, though, is that maybe this 49ers defense hasn't been getting enough respect this year. Plus, we've been saying it all year anyway. That NFC West is probably the most competitive division in the NFL right now. And I think that this is proving it. And of course, Jackson should be happy because he said he called the Rams going to the championship.
I called Rams and Bills preseason, called Rams Bills Super Bowl, Rams to win it. I'm almost there. I'm 2 games away from that prediction becoming true.
But
3 technically because of the Rams winning.
Right. But still, Jarrod, I really think that maybe this 49ers team's defense has not been given enough respect. And also, this team is better than its record because it plays in probably the most competitive division in all of the NFL.
And they had a slow start too. I think they were 2-5, maybe. I can't remember.
They had a very slow first 2 months of the season. Yes.
And a lot of people give GQ Jimmy a lot of shit, and he's got a noodle for an arm. He's pretty accurate, but he doesn't have a strong arm. Let's face it. But he made, like, on the whole, good throws. He made, there were a few passes to Kittle, who I thought in the circumstances was excellent. He made a few passes to Kittle that were absolutely bang on the money, that if he put it a foot either direction, it was probably not caught or going to get knocked down. So he made some big throws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now, you talk about, Bryan, you talk about the defense being underrated. Mm-hmm. I think people have forgotten just how good of a coach Shanahan is.
Good point.
Over the past couple of years, because I mean, everyone craps on him because he was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta when Matt Ryan was MVP, but he was also the one that was kind of a little too aggressive at the end of the game, and they got pushed out of field goal range. And the Patriots end up successfully coming back 28-3, one of the most infamous games in Atlanta sports history. They will absolutely never live that down. They and the Golden State Warriors blowing a 3-1 lead will forever be etched into eternity of blowing a lead of any kind. There's always going to be comparison of those two teams. And I really hope, I am putting this out there right now, the coach that I want Miami to go after, who I want to be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins, is their offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel. That's who I want. as far as I know, he's like the only team that he's only interviewed with Miami so far. I think he's super funny. First off, I think he's incredibly smart, and I have dreams about Jalen Waddle in the Deebo Samuel role of getting put in the backfield and just pitching it to him.
Being funny is clearly important in the role, so I'm glad you called that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's a great sense of humor, likable. People love him. I mean, he's approachable.
He's great. He's wonderful. Everyone loves him. Well, you know what?
Which is the opposite of what Brian Flores was, apparently.
Oh
so if Chris Greer,
apparently no one liked Brian Flores.
So if Chris Greer wants to go in a different direction, then that would be the opposite direction.
So apparently rumor has it that McDaniel won't interview in states that won't legalize the marijuana. Hey, good for him, man. Way to stick to your guns. I'm all for it. Honestly, I would not want to play in.
He'd be in Miami. He'd get a plug easily.
I would not want to play in a Floridian team because I don't want to live in a state that's run by a lunatic like Ron DeSantis.
But man, Miami's
not that I'm trying to get political or anything, but he's a lunatic. Anywho, and I think Joe Compton is right when he asked the question that this would be the first time the winning Super Bowl team wins it in their home field. I believe so.
It'd be back to back because the Bucs did it last year and it was the first time it ever happened.
Yeah, that would be.
But the Rams could potentially be. It could be in back-to-back years.
Yeah,
we could have back-to-back, which is
odd
that
it's
never happened in 50-something years of the NFL, and that all of a sudden back-to-back years it could potentially happen.
Now the Saturday games were the defensive struggle. Let's go to the Madden games on Sunday. So Sunday we had Rams Bucks, and this was the type of game that you expected to see out of when it comes to Tom Brady versus Matt Stafford. And hey, Matt Stafford, I got to give him credit, man. He hung with TB12. I mean, let's take a look. Let's take a quick look at the stats here. Stafford 28 of 38, 366 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brady 30 of 54, 329 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Stafford didn't just hang with him. Stafford beat him. Like
Stafford balled, and Odell looked like
Odell.
He looked like Odell. He looked like New York Football Giants Odell that game. It was fun to watch.
I saw that sideline catch.
The Rams tried their best to throw the game there close to the end because they get a turnover, but then the center snaps it right past Stafford, who's still calling audibles and trying to run decipher the defense and get the offense in position. And then on the final drive, they fumble it again to give it back to the Bucs, and then they go down, score to tie it up. But again, on the back of the leg actually of a kicker, the Rams make it through. And hey, congratulations to Stafford, man, because he's taken a lot of crap because of 13 years with 12 years with the Lions. This is his 13th season. Everyone coming into this season was either hyping him up. I mean, I was hyping him up. I thought he was going to play at an MVP level. He hasn't necessarily played at an MVP level, but he hasn't played bad. He hasn't played bad. He played really bad down the stretch. And I was like, I don't know about this. But when push has come to shove and when he needs to get wins, he has gotten 2 wins now, and he is 2 wins away from having a Super Bowl, as many Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers, as we've already established. And just, good for him. He was loyal to Detroit, and Detroit can only get you so far. Now Jared Goff, his problems are Detroit. Now Stafford's in LA and could potentially get a Super Bowl. And the Rams might be the team that I'm rooting for. I've always kind of liked them because, growing up, they were the St. Louis Rams. St. Louis isn't too terrible of a drive from where I was. So always had a soft spot for them because they were the local team.
I'm going to say one thing about, I'm going to let you have your point, Jarrod, but I will say this about Matt Stafford this season. This was his second largest yardage posted of his career. 4,800 yards, just under 4,900 yards. So, third best. Excuse me. He passed for 5,000 yards in 2011, 4,900 yards in 2012, and then 4,800 yards this year. So his third best season as far as passing yards. So, I mean, 4,800 yards, that's not bad. I think, 41 touchdowns against 17 picks, maybe if some of these, if he has maybe 7 less picks, this is an MVP year for him, or he should at least be in this conversation. I just wanted to throw that out there. Go ahead, Jarrod. You have a point. Oh, matter of fact, hold on. Let's hold that for a second. It's time to take a break. We've been going for 30 minutes straight. So we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to finish up our NFL talk, and then we're going to go to the NBA. This is the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live here on Vendetta on Twitch TV on the Vendetta Sports Media Twitch TV channel, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. Proud member of the Vendetta Sports Media Podcasting Network. We'll be right back.
The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16-ounce bags, or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12-ounce, 16-ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the U.S., go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the U.K., go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers.
All right, we're back here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live here on our Twitch channel here, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. Proud member of the Vendetta Sports Media Podcasting Networks. All right, so Jarrod, the Rams, is this an upset, or is this just a great game that they just pulled out?
Look, it was a really good game to watch. We've just spoken about Niners and Packers, and it couldn't have been more of a polar opposite. Passes just getting slung over center. It was wonderful to watch. Anytime I feel like I'm almost conditioned to say that anytime Brady is beaten in the playoffs, it's an upset. Like you could get some sort of NFL version of the Monstars to beat Brady, and I'd still say it was an upset. But it's almost a Pavlovian response now. Like Brady's that successful that we're almost shocked when he loses. But look, I got to admit, I haven't followed either of these teams terribly closely all year. As you know, I don't follow NFL super closely, but like you talked a lot about Stafford before and the success since leaving the Lions. I mean, it just shows that circumstance is so important, not just for a quarterback, but for any player in any sport. Mm-hmm. The circumstance that you are in is so damn important. Detroit have been horrible for, God knows how many years now.
Forever.
Yeah. I mean, God, I still remember when Scott Mitchell was their savior.
Oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it just shows that you put the right player in the right circumstance, and you can get a borderline MVP season, but you can get the right player in the wrong circumstance, and they look like a hack. They're maligned. So good on him for finding a situation that works for him.
Absolutely. Do you guys think that Tom Brady retires?
Probably not.
Because the talk is coming. Because the talk is picking up.
I don't know. I will treat Brady's retirement the same way that I've always treated Brady in the playoffs. I will believe that he's done when he says he is.
Yeah.
I'll believe he's done when he finally says he's done, just as I would only believe that him and the Patriots lost when it was the next day after a playoff game and the score was them losing and the clock was over. And, you know,
Jackson, breaking news here. Big Papi, David Ortiz, in his first year of eligibility, has been voted into Cooperstown.
Yeah. Barry Bonds did not get voted in.
Yeah, Barry Bonds.
And it was his final year.
Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Kurt Schilling. They're done.
Yeah,
they are done. There is no way they're getting into Cooperstown now in the traditional means. They're going to have to get in via the committee, and I don't see it happening. At least not Kurt Schilling. Because, well, the thing is, Kurt Schilling has hurt himself because the young folks that are going to come up in committee, they're going to remember all the political stuff that he's been running his mouth about. That's going to keep him out. And then, of course, I think Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens probably get in in the 2030s. When these old school baseball guys finally die off or retire, I think the younger committees are the ones that vote those two in. Kurt Schilling, I don't see Kurt Schilling ever making it.
Also, Jarrod, breaking news: Anthony Davis, he's back officially. He's in the starting lineup tonight for the Lakers.
Okay.
Has he shaved the unibrow?
Never. It's iconic.
Well, then that's why
it's his brand.
He's going to be out again. He's going to get hurt tonight because he didn't shave the unibrow.
I mean, he's made out of paper. He's Mr. Glass from the M. Night Shyamalan movies.
I'm interested in this unibrow theory, though, Brian. Like, basically, he throws off his balance.
Well, no,
it's like the opposite of a Samson situation. Samson couldn't cut his hair; he has to shave the unibrow in order to ascend to godlike, to godhood.
Basically, I did a lot of thinking about this, Jarrod, in the last 2 seconds, and this is why. Okay, the excess hair follicles of his face are keeping the red blood cells from healthily going through his body to keep him from being injured. And I have a lot of science backing me up on this. See, no one knows this, but see, I have the inside scoop. I have a buddy, Joey Numbers, right? Joey Numbers has kept track on Anthony Davis since he was a zygote, okay? Because Joey Numbers just had the inside scoop. He knew that he was going to be a basketball star. There was a time before the unibrow connected. Anthony Davis got hit by a car and kept walking. Like, he got hit by a car and was just like, meh. But when puberty hit and the unibrow connected, all of his superpowers went away. I have that on good authority, and that's what I'm sticking with.
That's Dr. Bryan Tann there with that public service announcement.
You heard it here.
Anthony Davis could be Wolverine if he didn't have that couple of inches of hair. Oh, man. And also, I'm just picturing it.
Way off track there.
I know. Yeah, Anthony Davis becomes short, white, and Canadian once that little bit of hair is gone. But once it grows in, he's a 7-foot black guy. That's the way DNA works, friends.
It's the trade-off. It's like, press the button. You get to become an NBA star, but
I'm a spit taken to my heater. And of course, real quick, we're going to talk about this after we talk about this Buffalo Kansas City game. This was the game for the ages. And I said this last week.
It was immaculate.
I think the winner of this game wins the Super Bowl. And we have the Kansas City Chiefs winning this game. I have the Chiefs getting it done because here's the thing. Number one, and Joe Compton said this earlier, and I agree with him 1,000%. This is Josh Allen solidifying his superstardom mode. Like, if Josh Allen isn't on the cover of Madden next year, there's a problem. I really think that Josh Allen, because here's the thing. The Madden cover is supposed to be the that lets you know you've made it as a superstar, right?
Got to watch out for the curse, though.
You got to watch. Well, the curse hasn't really been an issue the last couple of years. I mean, well, I guess it cursed Lamar Jackson because
Lamar Jackson
because it showed it. You find out that the guy
Patrick Mahomes has not won a Super Bowl since he got it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just been one Super Bowl.
But he won it. But he won it the year. Well, wait, didn't he win it the year he got?
Or he might have. He might be the exception.
He won it the year he got on it.
But you see, Brady had it last year, and he lost.
Brady has it in the divisional. Brady has it this year.
Yeah. Well, this year, 2022.
Yeah, and Mahomes is going to go to the Super Bowl and win again. I think the curse has been broken. The thing is, though, is that Lamar Jackson, all the Madden curse did for him was like, hey, guess what? This guy sucks. He's a hell of a runner, and he has a cannon for an arm. But just like Woody Harrelson in Wildcats circa 1986, I can run good and I can throw good. I just can't run and throw good. That's Lamar Jackson.
If the curse is going to mean that you perform slightly worse and you don't win the Super Bowl, that's better than the curse, 10, 15, 20 years ago where your legs fell off or you got into dogfighting.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Or you get hit in the head like Antonio Brown, and then you do the things that he's done.
Although, the thing is, even though Bruce Arians is an asshole, I'm sorry, that's some CTE that tells you that taking out, like getting half naked to protest your coach was a good idea.
Hey, he shared a tweet today of him photoshopped in a Ravens jersey.
Oh man, you know what? If I'm the Ravens, I stay as far away from him as possible. Honestly, if I'm any NFL team, I stay as far away from Antonio Brown as possible, because the instant he doesn't get his touches, the instant he doesn't get his targets, he loses it. So
he's going to be Rodgers, mate. He's going to be Rodgers' new featured wideout in Pittsburgh.
Oh, F that. Antonio Brown is never coming back to Pittsburgh. If Antonio Brown even comes into the city limits of Pittsburgh, there's going to be a ton of Yenzers going to be like, turn right back around the way you came. But I got to go through Pittsburgh, go through Newcastle. You better take the Ohio route. Nah. But I'll tell you the truth, though. We are now. This is the matchup that we're going to be seeing for years to come. We're going to be seeing Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs for years to come. Unless one of them decides to go to the NFC, then we're going to see them playing in the Super Bowl for years to come. These guys with Joe Burrow and I'm trying to think who's another of the quarterbacks like right now that could be mentioned, like, because these three guys right now,
Justin Herbert, depending on what happens with the Chargers.
See. I'm not 100% sold on. I'm with Justin Herbert. I think that he's on that other tier. He's on that tier that like Ben Roethlisberger was on whenever you were talking about Brady, Manning, and Breeze. And then Roethlisberger was in that next tier. So it's like you've got your gold tier, you got your silver tier, and then you've got your bronze tier. Well, Roethlisberger is in that silver tier, and he's at that very top silver tier where he can do one of these and touch the gold.
Where more than Rodgers.
Yes, he did. And that's why, honestly, Rodgers is in that same realm. He's in that silver tier touching the gold. Maybe you can put Big Ben in the lower end of the gold tier because, he had 2 Super Bowls to his credit. But I really think that right now, the gold standard of quarterback in the NFL right now, Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow. But those are my guys.
Yeah, can't argue.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think there's much else we can say about this game.
It was just so much fun to watch. I mean, I was in my living room just right over here, and 2 teams that I have no connection to whatsoever. Like, I'm not a fan of either one of them, yet I'm jumping out of my seat when something happens, or I am standing up glued to the TV, not moving, not doing anything, just watching what is happening. It was a good game when that happens.
Absolutely.
It was an advertisement. Like that's the game you show someone to get them hooked onto the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just the last 2 minutes even.
Yeah.
Just the last 2 minutes and then overtime of that game.
Honestly, though, I think the Bills, it's like if I'm the Bill, if one of the first things I'm saying, if I'm a Bills fan, why would you give Patrick Mahomes that much time? Why would you give Patrick Mahomes?
They shouldn't have kicked it out of the end zone in the back. And like, I know everyone is complaining about the overtime rules, and I don't care much for the overtime rules either, but at the same time, on the opposite side, the Bills shouldn't have, because in everyone's mind, it's like 2 teams that fought that hard. It like Josh Allen. No, here's the thing: is they're saying Josh Allen made only 1 mistake. He picked tails instead of heads. That and they're saying like that's I know, but that's what people are saying. And the NFL is also the only overtime sport in at least in the United States where it's sudden death, or in a sense,
but
it has sudden death rules.
It's only sudden death if the touchdown is scored. It's not now. Granted, now I like the fact. Now I used to hate it where a field goal would end it. I like the fact that it takes a touchdown to end it.
Yeah, I just think each team should be able to touch the ball once. If you like, the closest equivalent I could come up with was a penalty shootout in soccer, in football. And, Jackson and I are the captains of our team. I win the toss. I say, well, my team's going to kick first because we don't want the pressure of kicking last. If we score that first goal, it doesn't mean that we win. Jackson's team gets the opportunity to put the ball in the net. I think each team should at least get one drive. Taking away the field goal, making the field goal rule has helped, but I think there should be at least one drive for each team. Make it equitable.
I mean, I guess I can guess I can dance to that tune. My only issue with that though is don't let them score the touchdown. I mean, granted, that's hard because it's Patrick Mahomes, but at the same token, it's going to be hard because it's Josh Allen. I mean, like I said, I understand the point. I can definitely, I understand the merit. I can get behind that. My only thing is that it's better than what it used to be.
Oh, it is.
It's way
but it
better.
Still comes down to it still comes down to a 50-50 call as to whether you get the opportunity to win the game or save the game. And to me, that's not a fair way to decide something as important as a playoff game.
Fair enough. I mean, hey, that what? That's what I like about doing this show too, is that we have discussion on this. Good,
and I know a few, and they can change the rules too, because when they implemented this new rule for the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they implement it to start the playoffs a few years ago? Like the regular season, it was strictly the old rules that it used to be, but then it was like that playoffs or something. They implemented it. I don't know. Maybe you make it just solely a playoff only thing, where it's that case where it's if it's like a week 5 game that no one really cares about between two crappy teams that doesn't matter, then just keep the rule the same. But the playoffs, I'd like to see it change. I'm not going to throw a hissy fit like everyone else is on the internet, but
I think you need to have it uniform. To use Australian rules as an example, we had 3 different consequences for draws. If it was through the home and away season, the regular season, the 4 points that you get for winning a game was split 2 and 2. If it was a finals match, then it went into extra time. But if it was in the grand final, it went to a replay. You came back next week and played the whole thing again. So we had 3 different results for 3 different circumstances. Now they've changed it so that it's just extra time for any finals match, including the grand final now. But if you're going to have a rule, you've got to try and make it as equitable as possible.
I mean, all right. I mean, I'm cool with that. I'm sure that the rules committee is going to be looking at this in the off season.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
The rules committee will look at this in the off season, and they'll do what they got to do. I mean, hell, at the end of the day, they definitely got to do something to sort of off balance the whole crappy taunting rule. Because I hate that. Like, I'm sorry, you should be able to talk shit. I'm sorry. Before we finish off with our NFL, let me take a quick gander at our notes. One thing I could care less about: Rob Gronkowski, unsure if he'll return for another title pursuit. Don't care. I
was shocked that he's still only 32.
That is crazy. It feels like he's been around for forever and a day. And I'm sure I know his body probably feels that way too. Wow.
Well, why he retired in the first place.
He's not LeBron James. He's not pumping millions into his body. I mean, he might be pumping millions in the form of vodka shots into his body, but he's not. He doesn't take pristine care of himself.
No. He is Rob Gronkowski is definitely the old school football player that parties hard and then wonders why am I hurting?
Well, it's because instead of rehab, you're snorting cocaine off a hooker's belly.
There you go. I mean, hey, you got the money to do it. Go ahead and do it. But still,
He's living his life, man. I'm not going to hold it against him. It's just there are consequences to it.
Right. The Bears are going to be hiring the Chiefs executive Ryan Poles as their new general manager. Poles, 36 years old, joining the Bears after spending 13 seasons in Kansas City. He is the player personnel assistant in 2009 before becoming assistant director of player personnel in 2018 and rose to the rank, got into his current position in 2021. So the Bears looking to make some moves, hoping that some of that magic from a couple of miles away in Kansas City will work for them. And honestly, if I'm why don't I always get their names confused? Not Trey. It's not Trey Lance. What's that? Not Trevor Lawrence.
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. Thank you. You know what? Trey, Justin, Trevor. Justin. It's all frustrating and annoying. If I'm, you know what though, I'm looking at this as a good thing because, Poles, if he had a hand in this Chiefs team, and he's good at personnel development, that could help a lot with Justin Fields, getting him some bodies around him that'll help keep him safe and get him some weapons. And let's finish off the NFL talk before we go to break. Sean Payton has announced his retirement from the Rams. This is going to leave a tremendous this is a huge thing right here because Sean Payton 152-89. Pretty sure that room.
Trey's just trying to incite violence in here. When it's
That's
uncalled for and no need.
So unlikely.
I know, right? I don't know what kind of mood he's on right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Trey doing lines off of a hooker's bellies now. But
so Vegas.
So Sean Payton, of course, Sean Payton's been with the Saints now for God knows how long, like for forever and like 8 days. 15 years total. 15 years. So he's always been there, it feels like. And this team really became a perennial winner with him because before Sean Payton, the Saints were a joke. I remember when they were referred to as the Aints. And people showing up to games wearing bags over their heads because they were just embarrassed to be there. And then you got
to throw in the Drew Brees factor as well. I think Peyton came in Brees' second season, I think.
Brees' second season with the Saints, I believe that was when he came in. And they just took over. Even when everyone in the NFL was real excited to see Mike Ditka take over the Saints. Yeah, he gave away all their draft picks for Ricky Williams, who was a solid player, but he wasn't worth all that. No. So this is going to be a big vacuum in this organization. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. And I'm always saying Eric Bieniemy, Eric Bieniemy, Eric Bieniemy, Eric Bieniemy. Who's the president of the United States? Eric Bieniemy. Who's the black man who's the black woman that refused to give up her seat on the bus? Are you sure it was a woman? Erica Bieniemy. There you go. So maybe Eric Bieniemy gets named head coach down there in the Big Easy, and Jameis Winston becomes an insane baller. Who knows, guys?
Who knows?
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
I just going back to Peyton himself, I sort of look at him and Brees as sort of intertwined, and there is a history of that great quarterback, great coach,
Brady Belichick.
Belichick and Brady. I mean, what has Belichick? This might seem blasphemous, but what has he done without Brady under center?
Lose.
Yeah, exactly. But you could even go back to Shanahan and Elway.
Yeah.
And Shanahan didn't do much without Elway there.
Pete
Carroll didn't do much without Wilson.
That's
you go back to Levy and Jim Kelly. You could name these all through history.
JP just bringing out the darts on this one, man. I'll even do you. No,
there was a time where I followed football pretty closely, but
Noel Bradshaw. Noel Bradshaw. No, this is fun. No, that was a really, really good point. I think Peyton and Brees were probably like a more likable version of, Belichick and Brady. But they weren't anywhere near as successful, which is very unfortunate. And I think that Bountygate really knocked them. I think that if Bountygate doesn't happen, I think they have more Super Bowls under them. At least deeper playoff runs.
It's conceivable, yeah.
But then we wouldn't have this amazing new movie with Kevin James coming out if that never happened. We'd be robbed of the entertainment.
You know what? I love Kevin James.
You're using that entertainment term loosely, yeah?
Well, the thing is,
all my words loosely in that.
Well, see, my thing is this, though. I love Kevin James and stuff. Like, I've decided that Kevin James can do anything. Dude, Kevin James was in a movie where he played a neo-Nazi. Okay? I can't remember what the name of that movie was, but it was awesome. It was like a darker version of Home Alone with a girl.
We need to get to basketball before we run out of time.
Yeah, let's get to let's take our final break. We'll get to some basketball. This is the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live on the Vendetta Sports Media Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. Proud member of the Vendetta Sports Media Podcast and Network. Becky, yes, that is the name of the movie. Becky. If you have not seen Becky, I would go to Amazon Prime right now and rent it. Or if you have Shudder, I think it's still available if you have a Shudder subscription. It is a great movie. Kevin James plays a neo-Nazi, and him and his crew run afoul Becky and her family. And if you want something else really, really awesome in that movie, your boy from Community is in it. Jeff from Community is in it as well. So it's a good flick. Check it out. We'll be back here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live on twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media with our NBA section, and then we're going to take it home. We'll be back.
The following is brought to you in partnership by Symbol. Symbol is a new sports marketplace where you can trade shares of professional teams like stocks. You love sports. You interested in fantasy sports without the weekly annoyance of fantasy league upkeep? Then Symbol's the app for you. With Symbol, fantasy sports is going to a whole other level. How it works is simple. You buy Symbol shares for your favorite sim teams on the app. When your sim team wins, you get automatic cash deposits, and you don't lose any money when they lose. That's it. So if you follow trends across football, basketball, and baseball, and you think your team is a sleeper, simply invest in your favorite sim teams on Symbol and watch your virtual portfolio prove you right or wrong. And if you want to get in on the action right away, Vendetta Sports Media's got you covered. Go to symbol.app/Vendetta and use our exclusive promo code Vendetta, and you'll get a $10 bonus when making your first deposit. Symbol, taking fantasy sports to a whole other level.
All right, we're back here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show. We're broadcasting live here on Twitch TV/Vendetta Sports Media. We're joined by the man, the myth, the legend. He can talk NBA and he can talk NFL. Jarrod Prosser. Hey, and you can follow him on Twitter at it's JP. So Jarrod, we're going to be talking some NBA now. This is Jackson Love's time to shine, baby. All right, so let's take a look at, first of all, and this is an article written by Alex Grossman on go to vendettasportsmedia.com, check our NBA section. Alex posts an interesting article talking about 5 trades that he feels needs to be made before the 2022 trade deadline. So I'm going to give you guys the trades, and you tell me if you think it's a good trade or a bad trade. Okay? So trade number 1, Kobe White.
That's not true by a long shot. I'd never say that, and it's just not the truth either. Trey.
Wow. That's just dude. I don't even really follow NBA all like that, and I know that's just redonkulous. All right, so Kobe White, Derrick Jones Jr., Troy Brown Jr., and a lottery-protected 2027 Bulls pick for Jeremy Grant and Trey Lyles. I'm going to start with you. I'm going to start with Jarrod because he's shaking his head like, what the F? So I'm going to start with you, Jarrod.
Look, let's go the Chicago perspective first. With Patrick Williams out, Jeremy Grant fills a monstrous need for them. He's perfect, absolutely perfect for them. But, and look, even Trey Lyles is a stretch four. You know, he's not someone for a good team that you'd want playing more than 15 minutes, but he does fill a role. The guy can shoot the ball and he's 6'10". But from Detroit's perspective, why on God's green earth would you do this trade? Kobe White's pretty good, and he'd be a nice fit next to Cade Cunningham. But Jones Jr., Brown Jr., they don't move the needle. They're replacement level players. At 2027 first, that's 5 years away. It's also lottery protected. Detroit are rebuilding. You know, they want young players and picks. They don't need Jones. They don't need Brown. White, yeah, that's fine. And a pick down the line, that's not really going to float their boat either. You'd have to put in a lot more. Like if you put in a 2023 first and Patrick Williams for Jeremy Grant, Detroit would be very, very interested. But yeah, that trade, it's extremely one-sided. Detroit would hang up the phone.
Jackson, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And not only that, but I just don't know about the Bulls being able to get Grant either. Now, Brian Windhorst, he tweeted out today, or like someone quoted him on what he said on the ESPN's NBA show today, where he's like, Jeremy Grant gave them a list of teams he wanted to get traded to, but he didn't give us a list of teams, so don't really know there. But Grant has said he only really wants to go places where he's basically the focal point, or one of the main focal points of the offense. It's the whole reason why he left Denver, which at the time Denver, like before injuries and everything, was looked at as a potential title contender. And he left for equal amounts of money, but he went to Detroit, who was not a title contender and won't be for quite a long time, more than likely. Just so that way he could play basketball more, so that way he could be more a part of the offense. He wouldn't be that in Chicago. If anything, he'd be the fourth dude down the line, maybe even the fifth guy down the line, that if he's in a lineup with Alonzo, DeMar, Levine, and Vucevic, he's probably the fifth guy on there. The way that, and I mean, fourth, you can argue about Lonzo and everything, but if he's on the court with those guys, if he's a starter, then he's like the fifth guy there, and he's not going to want to do that.
And ultimately, that ambition of his, and good on him for doing it. I thought he was crazy at the time to go to Detroit for the same money, but he's proven himself not a number one option, but he's proven himself to be a much better offensive basketballer than most people seem to think. But if you're trading for Jeremy Grant, you're doing it as the final piece to a contender. You're doing it as somebody who can be a complementary scorer, but his primary role is to guard big wings, is to guard LeBron, Kawhi, Durant, even Giannis, these types of guys. If you look at the teams that are going to want those people, the Lakers aren't necessarily a contender, but they're going to want him. Utah, Chicago, as we mentioned, even Dallas, Philly, Brooklyn, even Denver could really do with him. But he's not going to be anything close to a primary or a secondary option on any of those teams.
No.
The closest he'll come is going back to Denver, and that's only because Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are injured. He would probably be the second best offensive player on that team as they are constructed today with those injuries.
Fair enough. All right. I don't really have a dog in the fight. My only thing is this. I'm a fan of Kobe White. I don't know why.
I like him.
Well, I think part of the reason why I really
certified
like
Grizz killer. Certified Grizz killer.
One of the years that I had 2K, my center ended up on the Bulls, and Kobe White was my point guard, and he was just always clutch. Like he always hit. Matter of fact, I think it was his rookie year because I was in his draft class. Mm-hmm. And he was just always clutch, and we won a title together. So I'm a big fan of I'm a real big fan of Kobe White. So I don't get rid of him. I think that he's a complimentary player. He does well with what he needs to get done, and you don't give up on players like that.
He's a good player. I think he would fit really well in Detroit. He's 6'5", Cade Cunningham's 6'6". Cade is a natural passer who can score. White is a natural scorer who can pass. I think they would dovetail as a backcourt really, really nicely. But giving up him as the feature, as the feature asset for Jeremy Grant, it's not going to get it done.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to this next trade. Miles Turner or Domantas Sabonis for Mason Plumlee, Ish Smith, James Bouknight, and the Hornets 2024 first-round pick. All right, Jackson, I'm going to start with you. Do you make this trade, or is this nuts?
I mean, the Hornets definitely, 100%. I think it's another one-sided trade here because Sabonis and Turner are both like borderline all-star players. They're players that could. Now, I'm pretty high on Miles Turner. So, like personally, if I'm the Hornets, I'm primarily pursuing Miles Turner. But you would definitely have to give up a whole lot more than Mason Plumlee, Ish Smith, James Bouknight, and then one first-round pick.
Bouknight. What did I say?
I mean, it's definitely going to take young players. Maybe it even takes Gordon Hayward to move the needle. Gordon Hayward, a young player, and a couple of picks. I could see something like that, perhaps. Although Gordon Hayward extremely underrated in his ball movement and playmaking ability, I think, in this part of his career. And how
look at the Celtics.
Exactly. Look how bad the Celtics are missing him. Man, look at the jump. That when
I was getting ready to say
when the Hornets are healthy and when he's playing, look at how well that young Hornets crew plays.
Isn't he the guy whose ankle fell off?
Yes,
like 3 minutes into his Celtics career. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
now, I 100% agree with Jackson on this. Like, I think that Sabonis is a better player than Turner, but Turner is a far better fit around LaMelo, Rozier, Bridges, all these guys. He would be just tailor-made for Charlotte. Bouknight, it's criminal how much he's being underplayed right now. I know that there's a fair bit of guard depth in Charlotte, but every time he's stepped on the floor, he's looked really good. But he's getting, at best, light cardio every third match. And so if you can trade him now, do it. But Ish Smith, again, doesn't really move the needle. You can get backup point guards anywhere. I mean, Indiana's starting Kiefer Sykes, who played out here in the NBL in Australia, and he's doing a fine job for him. He's not a long-term starter by any means, but you don't have to trade for a veteran third point guard. So if you could, you mentioned Hayward, but if you want to go younger, you could maybe look at Kai Jones, develop him long-term. They don't need another ready-made center in Indiana. If they're getting rid of Turner, they've got Goga Bitadze waiting in the wings. So if you're trading one of those bigs, it will by proxy give more minutes to Goga as well. So you don't need an average starter, an average NBA center like Plumlee clogging up those minutes. So again, great trade for Charlotte, but Indiana would be wanting more.
It would be ironic though if Gordon Hayward is traded for Miles Turner, because that's the trade that the Boston Celtics had on the table for when Gordon Hayward offered to sign and trade, and they were supposed to get Doug McDermott and Miles Turner, and they said no, and so he went to Charlotte. So that would just, I don't know, that's like full circle.
There'd be a bit of serendipity to that, wouldn't there?
All right, so trade number 3, CJ McCollum and Robert Covington for Ben Simmons and Danny Green. Go ahead, Jay.
Won't happen. Morey will stick to his guns. If nothing else, he's shown that he is prepared to wait it out.
Courtney's just like,
yeah. Look, I actually think the Rocco addition, Covington, would be a great addition to Philly in the Tobias Harris spot. But to do that, you'd have to get rid of Tobias Harris and his stupendously bad contract. Not a bad player, but drastically overpaid, probably double what he's worth. If Lillard was involved, which I don't think would happen, or Portland were willing to take Harris, then I think Philly might be interested in this. But just that, CJ would be a really good fit, Rocco would be a really good fit, but they value Ben Simmons too highly. I just can't see that one happening.
All right, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I think I agree with Jarrod that I think if take CJ McCollum out and replace it with Damian Lillard, and it's like, okay, now we've got the makings of a trade here, but I don't think for CJ McCollum, no. And Morey, there was reports coming out today. I even wrote an article about it, posted it right before we started the show. But Harden is tempted to shop free agency, and the 76ers are one of the top teams on there. So Morey can be patient. He can continue to feel what the price that he could get for Ben Simmons, because he could potentially be able to get James Harden and finagle his way with trades and dumping off contracts to make room for Harden to come in and not have to do a sign and trade strictly for James Harden. He could absorb James Harden and then push off from Simmons and maybe even Tobias Harris to clear those contracts. There's a lot of ways that Morey can do it, and Morey's smart. He's built great rosters in the past, so he gambled on himself and his leverage to start the season, and it seems like it could be paying off.
So, and that would be a nice bit of serendipity too, in that there was the Houston Philadelphia talks for Simmons and Harden.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be the same sort of thing, the same trade, just one team later.
So, do you guys think that Lillard would veto this trade anyway? Because
I don't think Lillard will ever ask out. I think this might not be the right way to put it, but his image in Portland seems to be really important to him, that he is the one town guy. He's stuck with the small, relatively small market team. So I don't think he would come out and say, right, we're done, trade me. But I don't think, if there was a trade that was good for him, I don't think he would turn it down. I don't think he would sort of, because he'd be told about a potential trade before it happens. He's a megastar. That's the that's some of the concessions you get as a megastar. But I think if they said to him, hey, we're going to trade you for Ben Simmons, you're going to go play with Embiid and Seth Curry and all these and Tybal, I don't think he would turn that down. I think there are trades he would turn down, but I don't think that'd be one of them.
All right, this fourth trade here. Man, Kevin Love and Sidi Usman for Russell Westbrook, DeAndre Jordan, the Lakers 2025 second round pick, 2026 first round pick, and Lakers 2027 second round pick. Jackson?
I don't know why the Cavs would do this.
Yeah. Yep.
I just like the Cavs, I get it. I think the Cavs should. They do have contracts, draft picks, and young players that if they wanted to go out and get a stud to pair with Darius Garland, who I think is going to be, when we're talking about the future of the point guards in the league, I think he is on that trajectory to be up there in consideration with Ja, with Trey, with Luka as top 5, top 10 guards in the league. He's playing at that level, and he's carrying this team right now with all the injuries, especially ever since Rubio went down. But why do they do this trade? This doesn't make the Cavs. This doesn't help them.
No, it doesn't.
It's like you're just taking one giant contract with Kevin Love's.
Well, it's like Kevin Love's contract is up quicker than what Westbrook's is.
Right. So, not to mention the fact
it's less money.
Exactly. Right. So why would you take on more money for a longer period of time?
Right. Not to mention the fact that Westbrook in Cleveland, he's gonna piss and moan and just it's not gonna be a good fit.
I mean, the only thing is like maybe that 2026 first round pick, if it's not protected, that's quite a few years down the line. Maybe LeBron leaves and the Lakers are trash again, but
that is the only thing that I can really say, that outside of the LeBron years, the Lakers have been bad for a decade, really. But you're right. Why would Cleveland do this? This is the first time, take out the LeBron years in Cleveland, this is the first time that Cleveland have been good and fun since Fat Sean Kemp was running around impregnating everything in Ohio.
That's a long time ago, kids.
Exactly. Outside of LeBron, they haven't made the playoffs this millennium. Think about that. And this team is going to be top 4 out of nowhere with this weird-ass front line that shouldn't really fit together. Why would they disrupt that? I mean, yes, they need another ball handler with Sexton out, with Rubio out. But again, you can find point guards. If they really want to throw a second rounder at Cleveland for Ish Smith. Charlotte, for Ish Smith. And there are plenty of capable placeholder point guards that you can get. You don't need to trade Love, who is an expiring contract and for the first time since LeBron left, looks genuinely happy to be a Cavalier. And he's playing really well. Like, he should get six-man consideration. He is playing genuinely 100%. Good basketball right now. I don't see how you look at what they're getting back outside of Westbrook. DeAndre Jordan was washed 3 years ago, let alone now. And the picks, 2 second-rounders and a first, that first might be something, but it might not. And if that first is something, the second rounders are going to be, 30, in the 30s. It's not enough to ruin the good vibes and to take on more money. I don't see it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so finally, let's get to this last one before we get to the one thing that you guys are really, really wanting to discuss, and that is the All-Star selections. Trade number 5. Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Josh Green for Pascal Siakam and Gordon Dragic.
Oh, man, the Mavs will do this in a heartbeat, in an absolute heartbeat. Siakam can be a small ball center. It clears out that really muddled center rotation in Dallas by getting rid of the guy that you have to play. But it allows them to go small with Siakam at center. It gives them another creative fulcrum. It opens up as I've gone blank. What was the dude's name who wrote it?
Oh, who wrote this?
Grossman?
This was Grossman.
Yeah. Apologies, man. My little LCD in my brain just went blank. But yeah, as he states correctly, this would open up opportunities for Jalen Brunson, who deserves more burn, more time on the ball. And Siakam would give them that third playmaker. And it would take out that Porzingis conundrum. And the bonus would be Dragic, who is not just a European, as he states in the article. He's Slovenian. He's Doncic's mentor. Like, he is his idol. Mm-hmm. So he gets to play with his idol as his backup. But from a Toronto perspective, I just don't get it. Toronto's offense is based around this whirring, cutting, driving, kick game. Porzingis does none of that. And defensively, they switch everything. Porzingis does none of that. It goes completely against both the offensive and defensive philosophies that Nick Nurse has implemented this season.
All right, fair enough. You know what? Let's take one more quick break, and then we'll do the All-Star selections, and then we'll call it a night. You guys good with that?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, let's take one more quick break. This is the Tanndemonium Sports Show. We're broadcasting live on our Twitch feed, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media, part of the proud member of the Vendetta Sports Media Podcasting Network. We'll be right back.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. In case you hadn't heard, your favorite Renegade Sports Media Group has its own Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media to support our efforts to continuously bring you sports, gaming, and other media coverage as only we can. We've got 4 different membership tiers. For $3 a month, we'll give you a simple thank you on our Patreon site. For $6 a month, you get a thank you and you get to become a recruit in Jackson Law's Vendetta University Gaming Series. For $10 a month, you get everything from the previous tiers, a special thank you at the end of our videos, free access to our upcoming Discord chat, and a free koozie after 4 months. And then the big dog, $50 a month, gets you everything from the previous tiers, as well as opportunities for Fantasy League invites, stream gaming, possible invites to mock NFL and NBA draft sessions, a once-a-month Google Hangout, and after 4 months, a free t-shirt. Yeah! Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media and help us to improve our pledge to bring you the best sports, gaming, and other media coverage.
All right, we're back here for our final segment of the evening. It is about that time. It is All-Star selection time. Now, guys, you guys were planning on doing some talk on this anyway, so it seems only fitting for you guys just to get this done here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show. It just feels
might right. As well, since we're already here.
All right, so where do you guys want to start? Do you want to start which league do you want to start with? You want to start with the East or the West? Well, which one are you guys going to do? Are you guys just doing the West?
We're going to do both.
Yeah, we're going to do both.
So, all right, so where do you want to start?
You lead, Jackson. Take us where
Okay,
you want to go.
we'll start out in the Western Conference. I'll read off all 12 of my spots. Now there is someone that I left off of here, and it's because I didn't know if he was going to be like healthy or not for it. But I think he's back now. It's Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is healthy now, right? He's fully healthy.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and throw Rudy Gobert on there as getting the fifth starting spot for the All-Stars. But I've got Steph, Ja, Jokic, LeBron, and then now Rudy Gobert as my starter. I'm kicking off Andrew Wiggins, who was at the very bottom of my list because I thought that the power of Golden State, he would be on there, which is why I put him on there.
Yeah.
But then after him, I've got Luka, Donovan Mitchell, Book, Shea, Anthony Edwards, DeJounte Murray, and Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, look, the big four, like I broke mine into tiers of the absolute locks, the ones that should be there, and then the four that you can really debate about. So the four locks, it's pretty easy. It's LeBron, it's Jokic. Oh, sorry, dying on you there. Yeah, we're talking LeBron, we're talking Jokic, we're talking Curry, and Ja. But they are the four. We're talking Jokic, we're talking Curry, and Ja. Yeah, but they are the four. We're talking Jokic. We got echo there.
Ja. Yeah, who's got?
No idea.
You know what? I'm trying to think. Is that me again? I don't think that's me. You know what?
If you're on,
it wasn't me because I'm off.
Are you on the website? Are you on the website anywhere?
Not anymore.
Are you not? Okay, because our streams on the
yeah. I thought when I was on there for a little bit and it was fine. I wasn't I had them muted.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, keep going. Keep going,
so
Jarrod.
Go ahead.
Keep going.
Yeah. that was unusual. Yeah. So LeBron, Jokic, Curry, and Ja, they're quite obviously the four that have to be there. Like if anybody's going to debate those four, then look, apologies, but you just don't know basketball really. No. I had the two Utah players, Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, in my next tier. I had Booker and who did I have in my other tier? I've got to remember now.
I've got it up right here. So you've got your probables. You've got
Draymond.
Draymond. Yeah.
So they were. So you haven't got Draymond in your team, have you, Jackson?
No, I do not. I do not have him on my team.
There's our first debate point. So, do you want to say why not, or do you want me to say why?
Well, I think I know what you're going to say is why, and it's going to be an excellent point. And it's just the slump that Golden State has been in without him, and how important he is to this team, how important he is to Golden State. And again, I even mentioned it when I talk about it, is that I feel like this is more of like a popularity contest anyway sometimes, but
that's how Wiggins is there.
Exactly. Like, and that's why I put him in there. I even said it's like I put him in here just solely on the fact that he's probably going to get voted in, and that's the only reason why I really had him on my list. Just the power of Golden State fans voting people in, just the sheer number of them, and then how much the media loves Golden State. But I mean, it's like at the bottom, and again, it's like the SGA, the Anthony Edwards, DeJounte Murray, are they going to get in? Probably not. I just wanted to show them some love. That's the only reason why I put them in there, is to show them some love. And when it gets down to the bottom, especially in the Western Conference, I felt like it was kind of thin for me personally to like who deserves kind of like that 10 through 12 spot.
Yeah, DeJounte was close for me too. Like I think he's had a borderline All-Star year, but it's ultimately a Spurs record counts against him. Now, this is the big issue I had with SGA. I think he has definitely had an All-Star worthy campaign, particularly when you throw in the fact that his only other legitimate NBA starting level player is a rookie. Yeah, that he has had to do so much for that side. But they are the worst team in basketball. And I actually had him in initially, but I just couldn't bring myself to put him in.
My basis for saying that I think you could make an argument for specifically like SGA for getting in is when Trae Young was voted in when the Hawks had an absolutely abysmal record. Now, Trae Young was playing at a different stratosphere at that time, but the precedent is there that someone could make it into the All-Star game and you be a bottom 5 team in the NBA.
It's probably worth doing the housekeeping that when I'm doing mine, I completely disregard the fan voting.
Yeah.
I look at it as the players that are worthy to do it. That's why Wiggins doesn't even get a mention in my list.
Well, I just again that final spot I didn't know, but now that Gobert is fully healthy, then I have absolutely no problem getting them off my list.
Well, my contentious one, I've got to admit, I wavered a bit on Chris Paul as well, because statistically it is relatively underwhelming, but he just makes so much tick for Phoenix. Like, he makes the game easy for Ayton. He has single-handedly revived JaVale McGee and Bismack Biyombo as NBA players. So I ended up putting him in, and he was probably the one that went in instead of SGA. But the one that we mentioned at the top of the show, Anthony Davis is back today. If he's back at 95% of Anthony Davis, I left Davis out purely because he's missed, 20 out of the 47.
Yeah, I think there is a limit. There should be at least a limit to how many games. Like, there's no reason why Klay Thompson should be 4th or 5th in voting in the Western Conference when he's played 3 games and get in.
But it's the same with Kyrie Irving in the East. He's getting votes despite the fact that he was sitting at home. But now with Davis coming back, I got to admit, I've already put it out there, so that's my selection. But if he plays well and Paul George doesn't come back, then in retrospect, that's probably the swap I'd make. I'd drop PG and put in Davis. So the big controversial omission, I don't think you had Lillard in yours, did you?
No, and I think, and again, I was thinking of who's going to be healthy around the time of the All-Star game, because originally I had Paul George in there too, but then he was injured, and then there's reports that he could potentially going in for season-ending surgery, and that the Clippers just kind of chalked this season up as an L, even though they don't own their own first-round pick, so they were just completely be looking towards next season. So I completely took him off of my list in my mind, thinking, okay, who's the next person up?
Look, I put him in based on the fact that he's been so good before he got injured. But if Davis does come back, then either Davis and plays well, either Davis or SGA would get in, potentially get in ahead of him if PG can't play.
Do you want to go ahead and move on to the East now?
I think we can go East,
East.
So do you want me to run through mine first?
Yeah, you go through yours first this time, and then I'll go through mine.
So, again, my 4 locks, and these are no-brainers, but Giannis, Durant, Embiid, and DeRozan were my 4 all-star locks. My should-be-theirs, my probables, Levine, Trae Young, James Harden, and I had Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler would have been a lock if he hadn't missed time. He's had a wonderful, wonderful season. And then my other 4, a couple of 3 first-time All-Stars. So we've got Drew Holiday playing his second All-Star game. His first one was in his second season back in, I believe, 2013. My other ones, all first-time All-Stars. So Fred VanVleet, Jarrett Allen, and LaMelo. And with massive, massive apologies to Darius Garland. I wavered over he and LaMelo, but the thing that split it for me was that Garland is a great point guard. LaMelo is an entertainer. In an all-star game setting, LaMelo could be all sorts of fun to watch. Yeah.
No, they haven't announced it yet. We're just going over. We both kind of put our 2 cents up there. Yeah. So these like if Jarrod and I were each the supreme rulers of the NBA and decided who got into the All-Star game, this is who in our minds should be. Yeah, exactly. Eventually it'll just be the 2 of us,
Yes.
It's like the old Roman rule of government where they had the two two heads on top of the Senate, and they each had a veto vote, and whatever they voted for wins. It's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna Romanize the NBA.
Tanndemonium.
There we go. For mine, and again, it's so fluid and changing just from the fact that of the number of players that are injured. Like KD was an obvious one for me. And, he still is a lock for me 100%, but, he could not be available. And so there may be someone down the pegging order, kind of like what you said in your article about Darius Garland, about he could potentially get in as an alternate, if Kevin Durant isn't up to it. But then Giannis, Embiid, DeRozan, absolutely no problems with it whatsoever. I'm a Cavs fan, so yeah, okay.
So I'm assuming you're talking about Garland not getting in.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Hey, I love Darius. Hey, you missed it. I was hyping up Darius Garland earlier, man. I was hyping him up. I said he is on that trajectory to be in the top tier point guard.
His time will come. Garland's going to play a bunch of All-Star games. He's so good.
He will. But and then I had Levine in there also. I like when I was doing it, I was making it like the starters too. So I threw him there in the starter role because if you look strictly from like a statistical standpoint, him and DeRozan are side by side, but DeRozan is the one that's getting all the attention just because it's DeMar DeRozan and he's having this incredible comeback season. So I just felt like, you got to show a brother some love when he's walking toe to toe with what people are calling, someone that's in the MVP conversation. If he is just as important as that person to your team and vital to your team's success, then he's got to be shown some love. He's 100% going to get in, or Levine should 100% get in. But I went ahead and threw him love in there as a starter. And then I've got Trae Young and Fred VanVleet in there. Fred VanVleet, I think there is no question whatsoever. And then Jason Tatum, LaMelo Ball, and then Jimmy Butler, and then this is kind of a surprise. Here, but I put in Miles Bridges as like my final, like this is like my baller pick. This is because he's having an immaculate season too. He is. I don't have the stats right in front of me. I wish I had them up in front of me. I should have brought them up, but he's a part of the reason why this Charlotte team is competing for a playoff spot right now. And it is Showtime. It's the Showtime Hornets, but with LaMelo and Bridges. So
Bridges has been awesome.
And part of the All-Star
leaps and bounds offensively.
And part of the All-Star game, it's spectacle too. So that was like a kind of another thing that I took in is like the NBA wants the big high flyers, and it's just kind of like it's that final pick where it's like this is really my personal pick. I threw in Miles Bridges in there.
That was where I went with LaMelo. I couldn't bring myself to put Bridges in. I just don't think he's at an all-star level. Like he would be awesome to watch in this game, but ultimately, I mean, there's contract bonuses tied to all-star appearances.
Exactly.
People's Hall of Fame cases are made from all-star appearances, so you can't just sort of hand them out for fun, as much as it would be fun. Because otherwise, you'd never have Draymond Green and Rudy Gobert in the All-Star game. They're just not. they're not exhibition game type players. And look, I mean, I'm contradicting myself a bit because I did go with LaMelo over Garland based on that, but I think both of them are worthy All-Stars. So
and again, when you get down to like that 10 to 12 spot, I feel like that's all personal preference. I think you could throw in three or four players in there, and you can make an argument that the fourth player should have gotten in over one of the three players that you put in.
Now, speaking of arguments, you've put in Tatum. I have put in no Celtics. Let's talk about Tatum about how Trey's going to fire me.
Yeah, I mean, I had Tatum in there. I did this a while back before his major slump, but after Trey wrote the article about him needing a good slap, and then our account being temporarily suspended.
Don't mention the S word. Don't mention the S word.
That is a bad word. We cannot mention that. He went off. he did go off, and again, it's like Tatum was one of those things where I just felt like he was going to get in anyway, because I was getting towards the bottom of my list, and I was just in my mind thinking that he's probably going to get in. Does he deserve to be in? Perhaps not, but he's probably going to get in again just because of name and who he plays
name
for.
Recognition will get you in, yeah. But again, I just looked at it and thought, I don't think he's borderline. Like, if he got in, like, I wouldn't necessarily be upset that he got in, but I just don't think he deserves it ahead of the guys I've put there. You know, Dr. Derby before said if there's no Cavaliers, then I think he said the NBA's rigged or something like that. I can't remember the message he put up. But
yeah, most definitely. Oh, definitely a joke. It says, yeah.
But yeah, a joke. Yeah, that's right. But he's absolutely right. If it's not Garland, it's got to be Allen. One of them has to get in. And because we discussed it in the Western Conference, team success does come into this. The Cavs are a huge surprise top 4 seed. The Celtics are struggling. And
it's true.
You know, like, Tatum gets these great stats, but when you watch them play, it is, oh my God, it's just so slow, the Celtics offense. Like, there's nobody that moves that ball. It's all one-on-one hero ball. It's like they're playing 2K in real life. Yeah, it's really frustrating to watch. Like, as a coach, it drives me nuts watching Celtics games. It's the horrible offense.
Hey, why do you think I have guys like Shea and DeJounte Murray like in my picks? It's because I like team-oriented basketball, and I feel like those are two of the two young team-oriented guys. And again, if I was supreme ruler of the NBA, I would show love to those guys.
Yeah, and it's the reason I put in Allen. Like, he's developed into an elite rebounder and shot blocker, which was always sort of the end game for him. But offensively, he's come along in leaps and bounds. He's got moves over, but his little hook shot left and right is really nice. But his passing is wonderful. He catches on the short roll now, and he's not as good a passer as Mobley. But I mean, he's going to be a ridiculous player when he actually grows up. But his passing on the short roll has improved out of sight. When Jarrod Allen gets the ball, it's not dunk or free throw. There's a myriad of things that can happen now, and it's really good basketball. The Cavs play entertaining ball and successful ball, and that's why they've got an all-star potentially too. And for me, the Celtics don't.
I mean, it's like I see both sides of every argument again for people getting in. They will. Obviously, I think the decisions might have already been made. I think with fan voting and then the voting from players and coaches and media, I think the tallies may fully be in. I think we'll know the starters first, and then a few days later they may do I can't remember how they released it.
Fan voting. Fan voting's closed. So then there's that the media voting. That all gets announced, I think, Saturday, I believe.
I think you're right.
I think it's Saturday. I might be out by a day or two on that. And then it's a few days after that the coaches do their thing for the benches.
Yeah. And Dr. Derby, to answer your question, yes, we did talk a little bit about Cooperstown earlier in the show a little bit. So you can go back and catch us on YouTube and watch it. Vendetta Media on YouTube. Go check us out. Quick plug there for the YouTube channel. And I also, just real quickly again on Allen, I cannot believe the hot potato mess that he in that massive, felt like half the NBA was involved in this one trade that just sent so many players everywhere, that Houston had the opportunity to grab him. They said, no, we're going to pass on him. And the Cavs got him basically for free.
That's it. He was a throw-in. He was a dead set throw-in, and he might be an all-star, 1 year later.
Crazy.
Incredible.
That's crazy.
Absolutely incredible.
Oh, Cavs got the best end of a trade, I think, out of like in recent memory that I could think of what they gave up and what they got. 100%.
Yeah. And they just snuck in at the end. It's sort of, they just poked their head around the corner and say, hey, can we can we be a part of this?
Hey, we got the cap space. We got the cap space, and here's just random crappy picks that are never going to be anything for us.
We're here. We can help, and they've gotten a potential all-star out of it. Unbelievable. Kobe Altman gets a lot of crap from a lot of people, but the strings he pulled on this trade, played it perfectly.
All right. So Courtney, real quickly, is that the end of the show? Is Bryan? Is he still in the background, or is this it, or are we done here? I don't know. This was kind of improvised
He's
at the
with a
last
martini
second.
now. He's done.
Yeah, I was about to say. Well, if that is the case, then he's still here. Okay. Well, does he want to come out and finish the show, or are we done? We didn't really plan this out. Okay, he's coming back to finish it.
Here he is.
All right, here we are. All right,
welcome back to the Tanndemonium Sports Show.
All right, yay! I'm back. I'm glad I'm on the Paramount, the Jefferson Legal Hour.
Special guest Bryan Tann.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of upset that you're not in a spa with a martini.
Yeah, you know what? I don't really drink like I used to. Once I started dropping all the weight, I don't have the alcohol tolerance that I used to have. You know,
mate, you and I both in our mid-40s. It does fade with time.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. But no, I was still hanging strong with it when I was still heavy. But then when the weight came down, it was just like my body was like, "Yeah, I can't handle all this, bro." And I'm like, "All right then."
But that's not a bad thing. That is
no, it's not.
Thing.
No, it's not. Like, it would suck if I lived in like Ireland or the UK. It would be terrible. But you know, I'm good. I'm good. Actually, you know what? No, I have been sipping water out of my water bottle. So,
are we sure it's water?
Shaken, not stirred. All right. With that being said, Jarrod, thanks so much for joining us. You know, we'll have you come back in with water, especially once the NFL season is over. I'll start segueing more into the NBA. We'll do some more NBA talk with you over the as we go on. I guess once the NFL's over, I got to start watching more hockey and more basketball, I think. So with that being said, Jarrod, where can everyone find you? What's your where can everyone find you all over the place here, but other than your articles on vendettasportsmedia.com?
Yeah, so there's the articles on Vendetta. There you can find me on Twitter at hey_it's_JP. There it is, scrolling at the bottom. And if you happen to be down in the southern part of Australia, shoot me a DM. We'll catch up for a bit.
The non-redneck version of Australia.
Yeah, the good part of Australia.
The good part of Australia.
That's bad. If you're in Victoria.
Oh man, you know what's funny is that when someone else freezes, I know it's not me because I've got my new PC. Oh, and I'm rapping and rhyming. I love it. All right, J Law, we know where to find you by now.
Everybody knows where to find me.
We know where to find Jackson Law.
Yeah.
We were just joking. It was funny, Jarrod, that now when people freeze, I know it's not me because I got my new PC. Oh, did it again. I'm so good at this. Like, I am the Black Eminem. Yes, I am. All right. And, of course, I'm Bryan Tann. You can find me on my personal Twitter at Bryan Tann Author, or you can find me for everything show-related at Tanndemonium VSM. We'll be back next week where we'll have yet another special guest. We'll trickle that in over the week, and we'll be talking Super Bowl matchups. It's going to be a good time to be had by all. But with that being said, that's Jarrod Prosser. That's Jackson Law. I'm Bryan Tann. It's the Tanndemonium Sports Show. We'll see you guys next week.